Welcome to the Business Grind, where we give you an inside perspective on what it takes to start, build, and run a successful business. Here are your hosts, Danny Shaw and Sean Michael Wellington.
All right. Hello to everyone in podcast land today. Thanks for joining us. Sean, how are you feeling?
Feeling good and happy to have a guest on today. A special guest, actually. It's a friend of a friend, somebody I met recently, and we were just blown away by her business. So we had to get her on the show.
Okay, Sean is blown away, so we ready to get into this.
Blown away sounds like that is a tall order to face, but okay, I'm trying to live up to the hype.
So yeah, Sean. After that, might as well continue with the introduction. Let our audience know who we have on the show today.
Yeah, all right. So today we have Jessica Spaulding, the creator and owner of Harlem Chocolate Factory. And I'm sure I am not even describing all the things she does on a daily basis by calling her creator and owner. So I will let her take over from here. Tell us what else you do.
Well, I am the chief everything officer over at Harlem Chocolate Factory. Actually, no. Let me edit that because I'm not. We've grown our team a bit. And so I don't have to do everything. I'm trying to realign my brain to that. I am the founder of Harlem Chocolate Factory. And, we started Harlem Chocolate Factory back in, 2014, 2015. And it's been a wild ride since then. But on a daily basis, you can find me hunched over my laptop or in the kitchen and just trying to figure out how to scale this business. That's my daily ride.
Great, understood. Well, thank you for that. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the wild ride that you've had so far, and get into all that good stuff for our audience today. Yeah.
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right. So, Sean, where would you like to begin? Where should we begin? Just the background and how you got started. How Jessica got started.
A brick and mortar business, a niche specialty food. Yeah, tell us how you jumped into that world.
Yeah, so I don't say I jumped in. I think I was thrown in, and I started Harlem Chocolate Factory as a part of a business plan competition. I've been working with chocolate since I was a little girl. It was my way of trying to get around my mother's, you can't have no sugar rules. And I basically just was like, all right, well, I want to do this for my career, right? I don't know how I came up with that. It's more, I think that's the Food Network was starting to show the pastry competitions. And I was just really interested in always cooking and playing with food. And I just figured she'd allow me to eat whatever I made. So that was the way around it. And I tried to start a chocolate business when I was in college. We had very much a grand opening, grand closing kind of ring to it. It's just, I don't think I had any much business acumen beyond I had this idea that I was going to sample everything I made, and then that was going to make people order, which is a horrible business model if you ever need any kind of case study in it, because I basically trained everyone to not pay for my stuff. And with that, it made it a scenario where I just basically was putting money out with nothing coming in. And I mean, for my little college budget, which was nothing, we had to give up pretty soon. But I had this opportunity, and by have this opportunity, more I lost my job and I had nothing else to do to join this business plan competition for the New York Public Library. And at that time, I think it was after college, I was working for a lot of small businesses. So I was seeing small business owners work on businesses, and it just made it, I think, a little bit more real or attainable. And I don't know why I had such a compartmentalization. I could work on people's businesses, but not necessarily be a business owner myself. Until I genuinely had no choice. And I was afraid at that time because I was like, listen, I got kids now. I got real bills. I can't be just, doing this little business for play. So I was like, all right, when I'm on this little fun employment, which was not, I could do this business plan competition. And I'm like, if it has legs, it has legs. And we'll, make a business out of it. And if it doesn't, I'll find out, going through the course of the business planning and all that. And it wasn't like one of those like come here and pitch kind of competitions. It was like a 6 month, like you got to go to different seminars and, if you really, and you have to have like submit something that says that you met with like a business plan, business mentor once a week, or like, like you have to have a certain amount of hours that you spent with a mentor. So I was like, this is a really, really, really thorough kind of like pitch. So the people going to really know the heart of the business. So if it sucks, they gonna tell me if it sucks. And if it sucks, it's gonna, like, we not gonna win nothing. And I was absolutely convinced that we wasn't gonna win nothing. I almost cursed out one of the guys during the damn pitch presentation because he was just pissing me off.
One of the people evaluating you, or
one of the evaluators. It was like a room, like basically you submitted your business plan, and then you had, if it was good enough, it moved on to the pitching. And the pitching was like, of those like 600 people who, like, I think like something like 1,000 plus went through the program. 600 people actually had business plans at the end of it. Then from those 600, they dwindle it down to like 10. And so if you had 10 minutes to present and then 10 minutes to answer questions, and this MFer, I'm trying to work on cursing. My kids asked me to stop cursing. But this MFer said he spent 5 of my 10 minutes basically just questioning me on whether or not I felt like how did I find the audacity to think I could work with chocolate as a Black woman. Oh. It was the wildest thing I had ever heard a white person say to me to my face while I was standing there. So it was a lot of like, it was a very triggering moment because I'm looking around like, I could hear him saying what he's saying to me.
Mm-hmm. And did he mean it in kind of like a uplifting way? Like how did you get to
No, you trying to spin that, Sean?
I'm just confused. That's more than anything.
It was very much, and it wasn't like this direct Black woman, but it's like, how can a person like you feel like they can go into these businesses when it's people like, and then he started to list like white people who own businesses. So it was very much like, why your Black ass think you could do this? Like, because he's like, well, when I think of chocolate, I'm thinking of Max Brenner and Lynch and Jacques Torres, and he was just listening all these white men, and then he's like, and it's something like Harlem, and he's just spent 5 minutes, and I only had 10 minutes to even present or like clarify things in my pitch or clarify things that that I wanted to make like a more well-rounded point for why this business should be. And he spent my time just questioning me over and over again on like why. And I was just like, at the end of it, I'm like, listen, mister, you want to know why I feel like I could do this? Because I said grab one sample and I can't even hear you. You done ate like 5. Like you're eating mad chocolate. So I feel like I'm gonna be pretty good because I said 1. And I was like, damn, you're not supposed to talk to the judges like that. But I'm like, listen, he got one more time to ask me one more question about why I believe in myself, and I'm going to walk out the room. And they just, they start clapping and whatever, because I'm just like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for, well, why do you think that your margins are going to be 90%, which was like wildly unrealistic, but like, that's something I wanted to clarify, because I'm like, no, I didn't mean that, like, that's what I felt like I should have been answering. Like, how do you know that you'll be able to scale to this many stores? But just like, why you feel like you could do it is a stupid ass question. And so that right there was just like, how it went for the rest of the business. And that was like the beginning. And we wound up winning that business plan competition for $15,000 to start Harlem Chocolate Factory. And I was like, oh, I guess we got some.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy, because I feel like, and Dan, you tell me if you agree, but I feel like we usually run into like two different kinds of entrepreneurs. It's the people who are almost like serial entrepreneurs. They're always like looking for the next business, always doing things. And then we have the people who like ran with a passion and just called them. So it sounds like you're in that group a little bit.
I think I'm in both, because like, so outside of that, I am like, in my family, I'm kind of known as like Ralph Cramden, but it's always been for hobbies.
Hold on. I gotta stop. I don't want to interrupt you, but I know who Ralph Cramden is. We might need a little context.
That was mad old. Like, I'm mad old.
Not mad old. I don't want to
myself.
put you. I'm not trying to put you out there like that. I just.
No, it's all good. No, I'm elderly. Like, I watch Matlock, Columbo.
Listen,
like,
Honeymooners. I know the Honeymooners. That's why I knew who it
Ralph
was. But
Cramden is the husband, and he always had some some get rich quick scheme. And when I was young, like, I mean, I used to like take pine cones and spray paint them and sell them as ornaments. Pier 1, I want my bag, because I was doing it first. I've done so many, like at school, selling snacks, selling, I think I used to sell body wash in college. Body wash and soap. I would get like the bulk packs of like, when Shea Moisture and like Nubian Heritage had just opened, I used to sell like lotions and the soaps and everything in the dorm. So I used to do stuff like that, but I never viewed that as entrepreneurship. Like, for me, my mentality and the way that I understood it, like, that's just having a hustle. Like, it's just some extra money coming in. I could never, but I don't think I had any understanding of like entrepreneurship. Like, this thing that you're doing could be in its entire business and its entire ecosystem could support you. The hustle was more like, all right, I'm gonna have like 16 different jobs that I'm doing, and I have the freedom to like make my own schedule, and nobody really understands it, but I always got money. But like, legally.
No, we're clear. It's all on the up and up. We're good. No. But yeah, Sean. To your other point, in an oversimplified way, it's like I'm amused, because it's like, well, you got into it to kind of be rebelling against the parents, and to also satisfy your sweet tooth, but then also going through competitions and sticking through it, and pitching and trying to get funding for this business that you have now. That's a journey. Yeah.
That's the basics of it. That's our story.
Okay.
I mean, most of my life is a rebellion against anything. The first version of Harlem Chocolate Factory was a rebellion. Like, what you mean I got to be a teacher or a lawyer? I'm about to start this chocolate company. And I think I took that when it failed. That loss hit me on such a different level, because it was me finally acknowledging that I could have one thing that I'm doing be supporting me, and I could build it up. And, this is the beginning of Shark Tank and the beginning of the business shows online. And I failed. So it was like that, maybe you could have your little side hustle, make some money here and there, sell some things extra, but that entrepreneurship, you don't know it, and you suck. And I took that L pretty hard.
So could you speak more to that first? Well, actually, I have two questions, if you don't mind. But before we get to the L, a lot of times we have people on the show, and they've self-funded or bootstrapped the business. So, in your case, you was pitching. What, was there a reason why you went that route? I mean, was it just because of the money? Fair enough.
I was poor. I during one of my I took some business classes with New York City. It was like some free business classes. And like during one of the homeworks for the business class, it was like, if you truly believe in your business, buy your domain, like go home tonight and buy your domain for homework. And so I'm like, all right, I believe in it somewhat, but even after all the Google Daddy, you know, they be trying to play like the coupon's gonna bring it like, oh, only 99 cents. But them taxes and fees be hitting different, and it was like $12. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy it, but I only got $14. Like I literally had $14 in my account, and the domain was $12. And I just figured like I couldn't get much broker. My unemployment comes in on Friday, so it's Wednesday. $2 till Friday. And listen, you just gonna be walking. Ain't gonna be no train taking. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to walk. Keep it real local. We eating what's in the house and just work it out. And I brought the domain, and I was absolutely terrified. And I wound up getting like a ding to the contact form that I put up 2 weeks later, and somebody wanted to buy $250 worth of chocolate.
Nice.
That was the moment that I was like, oh yeah, nah, I think we got something. So yeah.
Great.
But I started poor.
Understood. Makes sense. Just ask it, you know, because even some of the more, you know, some of our guests who are, you know, poor and come from humble beginnings, and you know, they'll say, well, you know, I got money from family or friends, or went that route instead of the competition route.
Well, even before the competition, because I was like, just, you know, trying to express the humbleness of the means. I didn't have the bread to do the samples for the pitch competition. Like, I'm like, if I go in there with these papers, I'm not going to win. I need samples, right? Like, I need samples. So I'm just like, okay, how do I get the money to make these samples? Like, I figured it was going to cost me at least $400 to just buy all the ingredients I needed to make the samples, and to do like test batches, and, you know, and get it all out, the packaging and all of that, just to at least like make some type of concerted effort to show people like, yo, there's a little bit more to this than what I'm saying. And I through the business plan competition, you were meeting with mentors, and so my mentor for the small business services linked me with this like micro loan program, because I started seeing, I'm like, if I don't win the business plan competition, I feel like I could still start Harlem Chocolate Factory and do something. So I was like, I'm not going to just wait to see whether or not I win. This woman from nowhere wants this $250 worth of stuff, and I needed that $250. I'm like, so I could be selling to people, you know, like already, without waiting to, you know, on a hope and a prayer that I might win this competition. So I actually like applied for a micro loan before I won the business plan competition. And I figured whatever amount of money they gave me, because I ain't have no income. I mean, I did like freelance stuff. I always worked in like graphic design, and like, so I would just be making people logos, like fixing up their resume, whatever you needed, I did really. So I had some invoices that I used to, I'm not, you know, advocating for people to fudge it, but I'm like, yo, just look, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these my invoices, you know, this is like coming in on a daily, weekly basis, whatever. But my plan was to take whatever I got from my micro loan, cut it in half, put it in one account, and just put it on auto pay. And take the other half, and that would be the money that I would spend on Harlem Chocolate Factory. Got it. And so they wound up giving me like $3,300 in a micro loan. So straight off the back, I put $1,600 in an account, put it on auto pay to pay off the loan, and then the other, like, I spent like $1,350 because, you know, closing fees, whatever. I put a portion aside to like pay for, you know, the different things I needed. Like I wanted to set up my website a little bit more. I got all the packaging for the pitch competition, some samples, business cards, those little things. And I still had some money left over. And that's how I feel like that money is what let me win the business plan competition.
Got it.
And because without those samples, it's like I could talk to you about the chocolate, but if you can't eat it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. So can we ask about the actual chocolate itself?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Like, what does one need to know, right? Because obviously, I'm sure I just eat chocolate. I don't know nothing about it. I don't know about the grade.
Don't know how to make it. Don't know the recipe.
Right? Just put some in front of me, and I'll tear it up. So, can you speak to that? Just like the education and knowledge you had to go through to create.
Yeah, I mean, it was a massive amount of education because I was transitioning from this like kind of home hobby-esque background to having to do this professionally. But my thought process always is the education. There's somebody, and you just got to pay for it, right? Like you got to pay for it. You got to hustle it. You got to, and so I wound up like getting jobs. Like I was already on unemployment. I was looking for work actively, but I was like, you know what? Let me go see if certain chocolate companies are like hiring. So I went out and I started like looking to work at different chocolate companies, applied to a whole bunch, and I got a job at one. And I worked there for, I want to say like 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, I was like, oh, I got this. Because I already had, I've been working with these recipes since I was a little kid. And it's like, chocolate is a very fickle ingredient, right? It's liquid with no water, right? It's a non-Newtonian fluid, which goes into, I'm a dork also at heart.
So you just put that word up.
Behind.
I don't know what that word you just said
because it's it's hard at room temperature and then fluid at a different temperature, and there's for this it's just there's no water in it.
Okay, and you called it what? Non-Newtonian. Okay, I'm gonna have to use that.
And so it allows you really, when you understand the science behind it, you can make whatever you want. And so that's just research.
Right.
The business plan competition I was doing was at the public library. So I'm just at the library reading every single book on professional chocolatiering. Every single book, every single thing that is to read. Some skills I had already developed throughout life with working on things and just working in the kitchen. I already had some production experience from trying to start that chocolate company in college, where I did the same thing. I went to the library, learned, read, before there was a YouTube, there were these book things that you had to go and read if you wanted to learn stuff. And I'm a dork. I'll read a book in a second and just really engross myself in trying to figure out how to do things. And so I just started to develop recipes throughout the entire time. Okay, if this is a base recipe and you start understanding okay, you need this much liquid, and understand how you have to have a certain, just how the molecules literally have to balance for you to get a certain level of smoothness, a certain level of crunchiness and crispiness. There's things that you have to do. And I started to develop those recipes, but just from different flavor profiles. Let me do this, but using the palettes of what I feel are more available in our community. So instead of creme brulee and that custard palette, we're going to switch that over to banana pudding. And so all I'm doing is taking these really, really, really ancient recipes. There's very few ways to reinvent the wheel around making a custard. Once you start understanding how to make that base sauce or that base item, you can do anything with it. And that's just how we developed everything. And the point was to just tell the stories, like tell these stories of Harlem that are really entrenched in our African American experience with chocolate, right? Like, how do we tell the stories of Harlem? How do we incorporate them into the recipe, into the chocolate, and to our packaging and our customer experience and everything?
Okay. Nice, very.
I don't know if that answers your
No,
question.
I mean,
but
it's a
like,
lot.
You know what I'm saying? I can sell you some recipes.
You came out you came out.
We learned a word. That's an answer.
That was the word. That word right there had my whole, like, what did you just say? No, that's great. I think I'm even, just more amazed or surprised that you were doing it for so long on your own, and then to get the job at the chocolate company and after 2 weeks you were like, oh, I've been doing this. I'm good. I think I have it figured out to go on my own.
Yeah. But that's like with anything you want to do, right? Like when you go and you start, like you like if you have the motivation to want to do something, once you start doing it, you start realizing like, oh, I was psyching myself out the whole time. Like, I got this. I also absolutely believe in learning on as many other people's dimes as possible, and not in a treacherous way. Like I very much believe in karma. I know the effects of it. If I steal a pen, the bumper of my car will fall off. Like I have a very instant, like I live a very instant karma life. So it's not like from a treacherous place, like, oh, I'm going here to steal what they're doing. But like, I'm coming here to work as hard as I can to hopefully apply this to, what I'm doing. And, I'm focused on what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And I will apply that other places. I will say that I learned more about how to run a chocolate company working for the Department of Homeless Services than I did at the chocolate company. Because about structure, about sales, about marketing. I was unemployed that entire time when I was like trying to do the startup phase of Harlem Chocolate Factory, even though Harlem Chocolate Factory is still startup. But I wound up getting a job 2 weeks before the business plan competition like announced the winners. So I had told them, I was like, yo, I have a pre-planned doctor's appointment that I got to go to. Like on my hiring day, like my sign-on day was like August 31st and the thing was like on September 15th. And I was like, yo, I got a doctor's appointment and I just got to be there on that day. And so when I won and it was like in the paper, I was like, holy shit. Like of all the things that would happen on my 2 weeks at this new job, so my first 2 years of Harlem Chocolate Factory, I worked and did Harlem Chocolate Factory, which was insane. Yeah.
It's a lot to take in right now. Sean.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
I told you I live a nuts life. I wasn't lying.
Yeah, you were not. Sean, you was gonna say something?
Yeah, I want to ask you about another side of the business because, all right, so you kind of told us the chocolate side of it, but, you got a brick and mortar store. So, there's a little real estate involved in that too, right? So how did you, select your location? What all went into that?
Oh, no. God selected the location. I have done nothing. So, all right. So we're going to fast forward to 2 years. I'm working at Department of Homeless Services. I'm working on Harlem Chocolate Factory after I get off work, sometimes at lunch, and even when I'm done for the day. It's growing, right? Like we went to the fancy food show. We got the best bite accolade by the Daily News. So it's 3,000 companies, hundreds of thousands of products across all these companies. And we were in the top 10 of items that year. Across, and this is on several different things, but we was in the damn news after that. And then the press starts like, oh, Harlem Chocolate Factory. Like, oh my God. So I'm sitting here like, what the hell we about to do? Because I get off of work, come home, feed my kids, take my little cart, walk through the projects and go to the little incubator kitchen and work at that little table and maybe make 100 bars and come home and like wrap them is not going to work. Like that is, the volume is a little crazy. And from that fancy food show, we get an order by a top retailer at the time. It's a 6-figure order. I'm like, all right, this can't be done. This can't, like, we gotta find a space. So for 6 months, almost a year, I'm working with the New York City Economic Development Corporation on, like they have these spaces that they will allow you to rent. It's at a lower price. It's, they just own, the city owns spaces, and they have this public-private partnership company that is supposed to allow, businesses and, just whatever in the city's best interest. I'm working with them for a year. My order's due in March. I order all of my equipment. I get the funding to build out the space that they were saying that they were going to give me. I'm like working on all these things, jumping through all the hoops. They wanted me to let people know that I was a Black woman because they said it wasn't apparent from our website. They wanted me to put up pictures of my Black family so that, and the story of our business.
Right. No, you got to sell the story. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just to make sure that people didn't think someone from outside the community was, usurping the name and like trying to play a game. And I'm like, I got all of that covered and I'm doing everything. There were a lot of questions around whether or not Harlem needed a chocolate factory and whether or not, the area I was trying to open in, although I was opening mainly for production space. And this was like in East Harlem, that whether or not they would even support it, whatever. I'm like, with us doing these outside orders, we're not reliant on the community to like support us until they, understand our name. I'm always take care of my community, but at the end of the day, I need this space to produce this order. Like, right. So
that's fascinating because wow. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just assumed that it was based off like, foot traffic and things like that were kind of your deciding factors, but it's enlightening to know that it was a big order.
It was a huge order. And so the week before my equipment was supposed to come in, and they told me that they weren't going to give me the space. They didn't think Harlem was a good start for Harlem Chocolate Factory, and that they would build out a space for me in Chelsea Market. First they tried to blame it on a political woman and said that she said that I couldn't have the space, and it was like all this finger pointing, and I was like caught in the mess of a mess. And at the end of the day, they just felt like Harlem Chocolate Factory would be better suited at Chelsea Market. And that's going to be one of those bridges that I burned to the ground because I cursed out everybody. Because how dare you tell me that my community is not a good starting place for my business. I've built my business model to help people transition into understanding how expensive, because there is a genuine expense change, and it is a shocker. And any line of item like this, which chocolate and premium chocolate, is going to be a shock. So it's going to be very hard for any businesses that want to angle themselves in, because there's so much consumer education. And it's very hard to educate and sell at the same time. But we built our model to not rely on the people walking through the door, because we know it's going to cost us more than y'all going to come in with. And so by doing these corporate gifts and doing these bigger orders outside, we'd be able to spend time in our community and really educate them and share with them, and and tier our pricing into a space that people could feel comfortable and assure them of the quality that we're giving them. There's always this idea like, oh, Black businesses are trying to take advantage of Black people. Like, Black people come in like, we want to support y'all, but you always charging too much. And that's an overcoming for a Black business. And it's just, it's an education factor of the Black consumer. Like, and understanding that, the amount of money that people assume a product costs. For a smaller business, it don't cost that. Right. So if I open my business over here, we might be selling the same orange juice, but I'm buying it smaller because I don't have the capital, I don't have the inventory, I don't have the buying power. The orange juice automatically gonna cost more at my store than the store over there. And so I was very understanding of the consumer side of it. And when they took that space from me, I was stuck because that was like a blind side that I never saw coming, because they smiled in my face all the time. And it took a second, because it's like, all right, I really need to make this order happen. But if I open Harlem Chocolate Factory in Chelsea Market and turn my nose up at my people, I'll never recover from that. And our brand will never recover from that, right? Like, that we chose the easier route to open up in an area and an environment. Like, for Harlem Chocolate Factory's first foot on the ground to be in a whole different area of the city at the price points that we need to charge, it would be a slap in the face to our community. And so I told them in a very nice, polite way, not at all, they could do things with their moms and never and never talk to me again, because you played a dirty game, and your intention was to never give me the space. And I realized that entire time you were trying to groom us into not opening in Harlem. But that also left me with $30,000 worth of equipment coming in a week and a half, and needing a space to give it to. And that's when the power of a Black mother comes in, because throughout the whole time, it never sat right with my mom that these people were so entrenched in the business about giving me the space. And the space that I was originally going to get was like 150 square feet. It was tiny. And to spend 8 months plus trying to quiz me and coach me through whether or not they were going to give me the space, and asking me questions about how Black I was and all of this, she was just like, she didn't trust it. So the entire time I was working with the EDC, my mother was going to different real estate agents in Harlem and looking for space for me. And so the day that it fell through, I was already in Harlem, like with real estate agents, like looking at different spaces, and they just trying to beat me in the head and give me all these different like horrible spaces. And she had a real estate agent who she had given our chocolate to, who held a space from being shown on the market. And when we walked in, we literally was like, oh, this is perfect for us. The kitchen is bigger than the retail, so we don't have to focus on that. But that's how we got into brick and mortar. It was never the goal, but it's been such a blessing, because now that I understand the industry even more, increasing brand awareness for us is the only way that we're going to be able to scale to the level we need to. And so having that retail component allowed us to have these front-facing consumer and customer interactions that we wouldn't have had if we just had something off to the side where, people could never come in and people could never Instagram and people could never send a picture or a video to their mother or to their job or bring their boss by. We would have never been able to do that, following my plan. And so it all wound up working out, but the goal was never to have brick and mortar because I didn't want to deal with it. But it wound up being the biggest blessing.
Wow, the samples came through again. They came through in the pitch competition and then with the real estate agent. Like,
yo, that's serious. Like, being able to sway people with chocolate, it has been the biggest blessing of this entire business.
Nice, very
like,
nice.
what's something that feels illegal that's legal, right? Like, let me give you a chocolate bar for that. It's like...
Okay. I know, so you've been talking, the ups and downs, but I just want to make sure there was one point where you did talk about taking an L. I just want to make sure we didn't forget
so many
that.
of them. I mean, all of that. I mean, everything. That's entrepreneurship, right? Like what they say, like if you can't handle getting punched in the face, don't do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to get punched in the face, get up, act like it never happened, and just keep moving. And you dodge as many as you can. Sometimes they graze, and you just gotta like keep going. Maybe you take a water break, something, chew on some ice, but you keep going in there. So like there's a daily basis of like things that fall through, things that don't come to fruition, things that like you go for and they don't work right now. And it's kind of a blessing that it didn't work. And there's other things. It's like, damn, we should have calculated better on that one. Like that's a daily basis. Listen, the first day that we opened up that damn shop, right? We got all of our permits, we got all of our stuff together, and we was gonna finally be open. It took us almost a year to open, and we lost that 6-figure contract with that retailer, which was the L of all L's, right? We opened, we got all of our stuff together. We were opening up on Valentine's Day of 2018. I had new air conditioners put in and everything in the shop, because working with chocolate, you got to keep the area cool. It's getting real hot in the kitchen, and I'm like, let me turn these AC on, because like I've been in here all night trying to make as much chocolate as possible for this opening, and things are just not finished yet. They're not set up. And I turned the AC on, and I'm like, yo, it's getting even hotter in here. I have the chocolate in front of the AC. Now, they have a snowflake and a sun right next to each other. The difference between the heat and the air conditioner. Which one do you think I put on? The damn heat. I melted every single chocolate on our tray on the day that we opened. First of all, the fact that they had a sun and a snowflake, when I tell you digitally, it wasn't like it was a different color. It's just that like blue and, you know what I'm saying? Like them just look exactly alike. Like it looked
I'm picturing a sun and a snowflake. They're very similar.
Some bad design going on over there.
Bad work. I melted every chocolate on the first day we opened, and so I mean it's a hilarious. This other time, one of my uncles came to visit me. I'm in the middle of cleaning out the shop. I just filled up the machine with 25-pound bag of chocolate. He's trying to talk to me about different things I need help with in the shop. Then I get a call. It was like some Con Edison scam. And I got distracted. I come back to the machine after I realized they trying to scam me. My uncles walked away. I opened the chocolate machine. Ain't no chocolate in it. He interrupted me when I was finishing up, and I forgot to close the valve. 25 pounds of chocolate all on the floor of the shop.
Oh man, you are
25 pounds.
25 pounds.
I don't even want to know how much. Like,
Don't.
She said don't. She said don't. She said don't.
No, don't. You don't want to know. But just know it was heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
And just know that I was just sitting there on the floor looking at it. And I think somebody came in the kitchen like, Jess, yo, you all right? Like, why are you laying on the floor? I'm like, look at the chocolate. Just look at it. So, there's been so many fun, like, now it's funny, right? Like, and I remember then it's like, yo, one day this is going to be funny. And I'm like, I don't think so. And now it's hilarious, right? Like, now that's the fun. Like, how could all those clusterfucks happen at one moment? Like, right? Like, my uncle trying to walk me through everything in the whole damn store you know what? You need to take that tile over there and move it over there. You think I want to hear this right now while I'm working? So I'm trying to be respectful and listen to him, but also like, man, I don't care about nothing. So me not caring about what he's talking about, I got distracted, never closed the valve. And then once I poured my chocolate in and they was trying to scam me in the Con Ed scam, it was just like, but that's entrepreneurship, right? Like that's it. Those are the things that's like, no amount of planning, no amount of no amount of nothing can prepare you for it. Hell, COVID. What?
Yes, we didn't even get into that, and I know we're coming up on time. So if you want to jump into that, because
it's very quick.
Go for it.
You remember how they had lied? They lied and said that we was gonna be shut down for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We was up in that shop celebrating like 2 weeks off. Like, oh. We about to just go relax. Like, I don't think I understood the gravity of what was going on. And like, it seemed like that early March seemed like it was crazy. Like people were getting sick, but it wasn't, especially in New York, like it wasn't as bad at that moment that we were just like, all right, things is going to shut down for 2 weeks. Girl, I need to sleep. Like, I need to get my feet done. Like, I just want to go and I want to lay down. And when that 2 weeks came up and went by and then the world started getting bad and I was like, oh, okay, well, we survived everything else, but this is the end of Harlem Chocolate Factory.
All right, so that's a wrap for part 1 of this week's episode. Jessica has more gems to drop, so stay tuned for part 2 coming soon. See you again soon, and in the meantime, keep grinding.
The Business Grind is for entertainment purposes. Opinions expressed are those solely of the host and guests. Please consult with a professional and exercise discretion before engaging in any business endeavors.
I'm out here on the grind. I'm out here on the grind.